Hi, and welcome back to the Gorton Law YouTube channel. I was just doing a little bit of light reading. If you've seen our videos before, you know I like to start with a good prop gag. So this is a copy of the Immigration Nationality Act. That's not too scary. This are the immigration regulations at 8 CFR. Now this is starting to feel a little bit more scary. And then this is the book that immigration lawyers use to actually figure out what's going on. So today's episode is brought to you by giant books. Quite literally could not do the job without having giant books just all over all the time. And part of the reason why that is because the terminology and procedures and processes used in the immigration system and the requirements that people have to meet under the regs are not super obvious. And that is the theme of today's episode. What is the biggest mistake people make when they renew the 2-year green card? So, we're Gorton Law. We are based out of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm the lead attorney at the office. My name is Jamie Gorton. We've been in this our year of 2022. I've been in business for 9 years with over 10 years experience hands-on. So, we have seen this particular problem come up over and over again. And the biggest mistake that people make when they renew the 2-year green card is you can't renew a 2-year green card. What is going on with that? Why would you say anything so bold and yet so true? So when you have a 2-year green card, it was issued to you specifically because you or perhaps your parent was a newlywed, that they received their residency through a marriage to a U.S. citizen, and at the time that the green card was issued, you were married for less than 2 years. And because of that, and because of immigration's constant efforts to prevent marriage fraud, they will do a check-in into the marriage across that 2-year look-back period. So that's already hard enough because, you might have gone to your green card interview and you might have had a bank statement of a joint checking account, or you might have had a tax filing that you did jointly. When you go to renew the green card from the 2-year green card, you need to have 2 years of taxes or 2 years of bank statements, 2 years of proof that your marriage that you'd entered into is still in good faith and still exists. You're rewarded, of course, with a very long processing time. The current processing time for this type of case almost just brings tears to your eyes to think about. Across all processing centers here in August of 2022, it takes 31 months for immigration to do 80% of their cases. So it is well over now a 2-year processing time for the system as a whole. What you're doing when you're asking for this to get fixed up is you're asking for your 10-year green card. And this is commonly called renewing the 2-year green card. And it sets up a very predictable trap that is entirely based on the terminology that immigration uses. Because the biggest mistake that people make when they try to renew the 2-year green card is they fill out the form that makes you renew a green card. Because you don't want that form. You're doing a different type of process instead. Immigration is asking you instead to do something called remove the conditions on your conditional permanent residency. After all, you don't have the 10-year green card yet. You have a 2-year green card that is conditional. It is conditioned on you maintaining a marriage with a U.S. citizen or showing that the marriage ended in divorce, although it was entered in good faith, or seeking a waiver of the requirement because of personal hardship or potentially serious issues such as domestic abuse or violence or battery inside of the home. There is a separate process where someone who has a green card that needs to get it renewed, say, for example, it's a 10-year green card and the 10 years are almost up, there's a form for that called the I90 form, the I90. And that renews or it replaces a 10-year green card. So replacing would be my 10-year green card was lost or stolen, for example. And if you lost the 2-year green card and it's just not in your wallet anymore, then it would replace that document as well. But it does not remove the conditions on the 2-year green card, and it does not turn the 2-year green card into a 10-year green card. What you wind up getting is, the immigration takes the money for the I90, they process it, it takes about a year, and a year later they send you a letter that says, we're denying this, you have basically filed the wrong form, and now, of course, because we've been sitting on this for the last 12 months, you are now over a year late in actually getting your green card renewal underway. You did not file the correct form, and so your 2-year green card has been expired for a while now. And this is, of course, a very serious situation. This is oftentimes what compels someone. Often they did the marriage-based initial green card on their own. They obviously did the I90 form on their own. And then now this is the first time that they're interacting with an immigration lawyer to try to fix this problem. And it's enough of a problem that the immigration lawyer, of course, is going to have to charge a full legal fee to make sure it gets resolved. Because when you are that late, you first have to hope that so far no one put you into deportation. The penalty for not filing to remove the conditions on the 2-year green card is ultimately a court date to see an immigration judge about getting deported. So the other thing is that if you file late, you have to have some sort of explanation for why you filed late. And this is where an immigration lawyer should be coming in, because you need to demonstrate something called quote unquote good cause shown. And that starts to sound like something a lawyer should be involved in helping you with, and is saying, oh, geez, I filed an I90 instead of the correct form. And, this is the proof that I did it. And I did that right on time. And I understand I'm late now. Is that normally enough? Well, I can't give out legal advice through YouTube, but you should get into a consultation with an immigration lawyer to discuss the situation. It's something that immigration lawyers see happen all the time, and it is a major, major mistake that people make. So the biggest mistake in renewing the 2-year green card is trying to renew the 2-year green card. I think of this as an all-time classic of just immigration terminology ruining people's lives, right? This is like trying to explain the difference between when someone changes status versus adjusts status. And that's, again, another video. But, geez, we see this probably at least once every 6 months. Someone's going to come in with this problem. And it is, again, an excellent time for an immigration lawyer to get established on it, because now you may also be nearing the point by which you're eligible for citizenship, because you may be eligible for citizenship as soon as 3 years after you get the green card if you're married to a citizen. And if you've already had the green card for 2 years and then you've spent 1 year filing the wrong forms, you're up against that 3-year marker already. And perhaps you want to pursue the issue very aggressively, and you want to try to assert your application for citizenship as a way to sort of try to catch up some of that time that you've lost. That's an advanced strategy. You should definitely speak with an immigration lawyer before you decide to file the citizenship application if the 2-year conditional removal on the 2-year green card is still pending. Well, that feels a little anticlimactic. That seems like maybe it's even if it's the biggest mistake, it feels like maybe that's one that can be avoided. So what's the second biggest mistake that people make in renewing the 2-year green card? I'd say that the second biggest mistake is forgetting to file the tax returns with the application, or even worse, filing the application with tax returns that say that you're single, even though you're married, or that there's a situation where someone is filing as head of household instead of married filing joint. If you don't turn in the taxes, I think there is a very, very high likelihood that immigration comes back and files a request for evidence on your case. And the problem for you with the request of evidence is that if they ask for material under the request of evidence, they're only ever supposed to ask you for that once. And so if they're going to ask for anything on the request for evidence, they will wind up asking you for everything. They will issue just a blanket request that just says, turn in your whole life history for the last 2 years. Then the material that they will be asking you to provide is often extremely specific, extremely granular, and very invasive. It's a degree of request that is often avoided in the beginning of the case with some smart preparation and knowing what to prioritize sending to immigration versus what might be a little bit more invasive and personal in terms of turning over to the government. That is the ultimate verdict, which is this is a major trap for the unwary. This is not as easy as just getting the spouse to sign off on the form. The immigration department uses this as a 2-year checkup period. And if they are going to be really nasty, they will let the case pend for over 2 years of processing time and then go and issue a blanket request for evidence for everything. And now, because the case has been pending for 2 years, you really have a look back period of 4 years effectively, where immigration gets to look back and say, show us over the course of the last 4 years that your marriage is still going well and that you entered this marriage in a way that is in good faith and bona fide. So one way or another, preparation wins the day. As with this and many other types of cases, we firmly believe that a well-prepared application is the biggest thing that you can do to make sure that you can make it easy for the immigration officer to say yes. One of our major mottos here at Gorton Law, make it easy for someone to say yes. Filing the wrong form, they have no choice. They must deny it. Now they're late. Do they feel bad for you? Maybe yes, maybe no. You have to find out. And again, if you do get put into the immigration court for a late filing, well, again, get a lawyer involved as soon as possible. Cross your fingers. Hope you get a good judge assigned to your case and hope that you're going to be able to get the time needed for USCIS to make a review of whatever you do wind up filing. This is a major trap for the unwary and is just one more example of why working with an adept immigration attorney is always a good idea for something as important and sensitive to your life and to your family's life as correctly removing the conditions, not renewing your 2-year green card. Thanks for tuning in with us here at the Gorton Law Immigration Channel. It's always a pleasure for us to share these tips and tricks with you. And I always hope that we'll be able to have you join our audience again for more informative videos coming more soon in the future.